Furiosa! We've come too far.
Folks, welcome to the channel, and yes, time for a Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga review. Just back from the movies, went with my kids. I'd say it's a solid 4 out of 5. You know, could take it down maybe half a notch, 3.5 out of 5. So very solid movie all in all, but it still leaves a little bit of that bitter taste of a Mad Max Saga, right? Furiosa. So there's a couple problems first here that we need to address. The obvious problem is that it is not a Mad Max movie. Usually when you go watch a movie, you watch a movie about that guy. If you go watch a Spider-Man, Superman movie, whatever it is, or Jason Bourne, right? Jason Bourne without Jason Bourne, they actually did that. Is it ever really as good? No. Especially with a character as beloved as Mad Max, it is rarely going to be the case that you're happy with a Mad Max movie that does not include Mad Max at all. In Fury Road, it was interesting because even though he was very silent, it was mostly about the Furiosa character, he was still there. You still had Mad Max as a, driving shotgun, really, literally, most of the time, but still there. Now it's it's all about Furiosa. So why not just call it Furiosa and not even mention Mad Max? Yes, we get it. It is in the Mad Max world, but it's not about Mad Max. The second thing is that this is a prequel, meaning you already know the outcome. There's no spoiler here. You know that Furiosa survives whatever happens to her. Yes, you do get the backstory as of where she's coming from, where she wants to go, how she loses her arm. Is it really all that significant? Doesn't matter if it's eaten by a dog, a dinosaur, or whatever the hell it is that ends up happening. Could be, could not be. It depends how much you care about Furiosa. And there is where we go back to the first. You probably would have cared a lot more about watching a Mad Max movie in a Mad Max Saga movie than watching Furiosa to begin with. Having said all of that, the movie goes by the numbers in many ways, the numbers to the standards of George Miller. I mean, the guy is obviously a genius. He makes some fantastic movies. The action sequences are all perfect, right? I cannot find any fault with any of that, right? From the mastermind, George Miller. There you go. Yes, I think the man is a freaking genius. The action sequences, especially the one in the long one in the middle, beautiful. And that could be taken straight out of Fury Road. And give me Fury Road all day long, any part of it, or as little or as much as you want. There is, yes, a little bit more of the CGI. Is it really terribly noticeable? No. It is also true that all of these things, all of these visuals and all of the photography is more impressive the first time that you see it. When you see it a second time, maybe not so much. Still, any Mad Max base movie from George Miller that has war rigs and cars and chases and people jumping with bombs, that's all great. Chris Hemsworth did a fantastic job. Anya Taylor-Joy did a fantastic job as well. Is she the most badass? Well, no, of course not. But what woman is? And there is where we go back to, there's a reason Mad Max is Mad Max to begin with. He's a tough guy. He's a former cop. He beats the crap out of, that it's Mad Max. Now we have to make do. We have to settle with a one-armed woman. As great as an actress as she is, it is still this thing of, this would be the perfect example. Yes, she just throws a stab at a guy's face, and this is expected to happen, and it does happen, right? The guy just overpowers her with no effort whatsoever. So that we can appreciate. I respect that we didn't get the typical girl boss bullshit of, yeah, women are obviously stronger than men. No, they are not. There is, if you're wondering about the woke-ish element, yes, there is a little bit of that crap, especially in the beginning of the movie. As you probably know, it starts in the green place. where Furiosa is from, and she's kidnapped from there. And it's just the first couple minutes where they show a little bit of the green place where she is, and some of the people there, all women, as you know from Fury Road. There is a weirdly, morbidly obese woman that has no place whatsoever in any post-apocalyptic society, but for inclusion, she is there. Why is it you have everyone fit and thin like this woman, and then you have the morbidly obese person, and this person that you see here, Furiosa's mother, it gets girl bossy at some point. I mean, she rides motorcycles like an expert, even though in the green place they apparently have horses instead of motorcycles. But she's an expert motorcycle rider. She's an expert marksman. She's an expert hand-to-hand combat fighter. She goes at 4 or 5 guys and stops them. I mean, it is a little bit too much at times. And yes, of course, then she gets taken down, and Furiosa gets kidnapped, as you would expect. But here you see what I mean, right? In the trailer itself, you see the horse riding. So they do it all in the green place. And then she disguises herself. This is all from the trailer, right? She disguises herself as one of the war boys, and she earns her journey basically as a hero. Starts her journey into Furiosa, and her antagonist being the Chris Hemsworth character. I think he did a great job. I mean, both of them did. It is tough exactly to say who shined the brightest of these two, Anya Taylor-Joy or Chris Hemsworth. I think both did great. Maybe Chris Hemsworth is finally getting some redemption here, because he's been attached to a lot of this crap of this superhero movie, which, don't get me wrong, by the way, he's always done great. Thor, yes, he did some stupid movies, not of fault of his own. Probably some of the director, looking at you, Waititi, crazy lunatic, doing some horrible stuff there, and brilliant at times, but that was not his best work. But again, all of these things is, you know how this is gonna end. You are looking at something that if you could have a choice, you would have picked to see a Mad Max movie, not a Furiosa movie. So these two things bring it down from what it could have potentially been. If this had been a pure, straight to Mad Max movie, this would have been a lot better. People would have liked it a lot more. People would have rushed to the movies and see it. And you still should, because it is absolutely worth it. I'm going with my 4 out of 5 stars. I think that, in spite of my mother is magnificent. Yes, we've noticed that it gets to the point where it's almost like from the Wonder Woman, like all of these Amazonian superpower bullshit. It almost gets a little bit like that. Fortunately, it's just a few minutes there in the start of the movie, and then they go back to some common sense. What I do like, again, there's a lot to really like: the action sequences, the acting from the leads, the story building. Instead of having a chase, here we have a lot more of the role play, the stories, who's who, how things work, right? I love that from the original Mad Max the trilogy, where you got to see how they're selling radiated water, and Mad Max pulls a gadget and he scans, right? All of those little things, when he goes into Bartertown and he leaves all of his guns, a bunch of them, he's always armed to the teeth. All of that was fucking great from the original Mad Max movies. So you don't get Mad Max, you get Furiosa, which is still pretty cool, and it's quite good, the story building and all of this. She's a great actress. I mean, everything she's done, she's been great at. So why would anyone be surprised? What did you expect here? Maybe a former MMA fighter, something like Gina Carano type of tough woman, right? You know who would have been a fucking awesome Furiosa? Rose Namajunas. Rose Namajunas as Furiosa? That would have been believable. She still has the looks for a movie star, and she would have been great at it. And she actually knows how to fight and beat the shit out of people. She does a good job, man. Anya Taylor-Joy, she just does a great job here. I think that losing the hair would have been even take it a little bit a notch even more into the involvement. And I think there's something about her wanting to do it, but George Miller telling her that no. Anyway, for whatever reason, it did not happen. But yeah, man, it is absolutely worth your time. There's not really all that many good movies. I wish we had seen a little bit more development of her. What in the 90s would have been a straight, obvious choice of her love interest. The guy, Praetorian Jack, is it? Anyway, the guy that's basically like her mentor, love interest, do a fucking love interest a little bit. And it would have added a little bit more to the movie, a little bit more heart, a little bit more, more sentimental value instead of just being, yeah, these two just get along very well. No, they are actually lovers in the wasteland. That would have been a cool little touch. It just doesn't get right to that, but hey, not gonna, yeah, it would have been nice to see it. Anyway, super recommended movie, Furiosa and Mad Max Saga, but, you know, those little things that, missing the mark, other than that, I really recommend it. If you have the chance, especially in the movies, go to a theater. There's really not that many movies. Fall Guy would be a movie that, yes, absolutely worth going to the movies for. This would also be in that same bunch. Guys, that's going to be all for now. I hope you appreciate this. See you on our next video. Take care.